also find ways to help them generate funds and all the support that they need. So my name is Mo. I am the podcast host at the More Stable podcast. I try to share stories to connect people. I believe in not doing life alone. And so in light of all of those, when I heard about Chioma's story through Adaobi and I have come a long way. I've known her for about 10 years now. We went to Sierra Leone together while we were missionaries at Covenant Christian Center, now Covenant Nation. And so when she told me about her sister, it really struck a chord with me. One, I mean, breast cancer is quite pervasive. I'm also a cancer researcher and scientist here in the US. And so I know from experience, just engaging with patients and all that, I know the burden of just having cancer alone. And on top of that layer with the weak health infrastructure. So I decided to say, okay, let me see what I can help with. And all of that boiled down to this very moment to, generate more funds and also support Chioma and Adaobi and their family on their journey. And so for those that are just joining us, please mute your mics. If you have questions, please, I want you guys to send me your questions. Use the chat features so that way we don't have like people just, overlapping. And yeah, and we hope that by the end of the day, we at least not only you learn a little bit more about breast cancer, but how can you support those that are going through it? And how can you also prevent to a degree breast cancer as far as if you have like family history and all that. Okay, so well, without further ado, let me just properly introduce my guest for today. So she's no stranger to you guys that are on here. Well, her name is Adaobi Nduka. She has been an educator and trainer for over 10 years. She stepped out of full classroom practice to pursue her passion in corporate social responsibility. She has been involved in teacher training, especially in low-income communities, to help teachers on how to deliver best practices amidst the lack of adequate resources. Adaobi holds a postgraduate degree in learning and teaching and a master's degree in educational administration and planning. She's very passionate about seeing children have a good education so their minds are formed with hope and gratitude. Everyone join me welcoming Adaobi to the platform. All right. Yeah. How are you doing today? Quick check-in.
I'm good. And thank you for doing this. Thank you, Tolani. You're an amazing person. I'll always tell you that. You're an amazing person.
It's been tough. Don't spoil my market of toughness. But I do appreciate
you wish.
Yeah, and Taiwo says his greetings, by the way. For those that don't know, Taiwo is my husband. He's at work right now, but he says to send his greetings to you. How's Chioma doing as well? We're gonna get more into that.
Oh, she's Chioma is good. I wanted to if that's okay, I'll share a screen.
Oh yeah.
I want you guys to see Chioma like 4 days ago. That girl's positivity gives me hope. I don't even know how. Okay, Tolani, you may have to let me share a screen if that's okay.
Send the request. Yes, of course. Send the request.
Okay.
That.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, Chioma is Adaobi's younger sister. She's 31 and she recently got diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And as you can imagine, that comes with a lot of apprehension and just the hassle with that. But amidst all of that, I think there's some hopeful messages that she'd like to pass along. I haven't seen that request yet. Adaobi, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Meetings. Tolani, where can I find the request to share screen?
If you go down to the options, you should see share screen.
Yeah.
And then just click the arrow that is going up, the green arrow.
I just did that, and it's only showing me only the host can share this in this meeting. So,
what kind of file is it? Is it like if you want to send it to me on WhatsApp, if it's something I can share? Is it like a video file?
Tony, where can I find?
Is it a video file or what kind of file is it?
What do you mean? Okay, just a picture. It's a photo. It's just a picture.
Me on WhatsApp and I can project it.
Okay, sure. I'll do just that. Okay, that's good.
As you're doing all of, let's just start with, I always try to go to the very beginning. So maybe just give us
Right.
of your child, like what's your family like? How many siblings do you have, and what's Chioma's position?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll just send that to you now. Okay. Okay, I mean, this is like a close-knit family. Those who are here for now, those on Facebook. I'm from a family of 6. I'm the first girl, and Chioma is my only sister. We have 4 brothers and just us. And she's the last, actually. She's the last. And so I want to really see this picture. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Chioma. Wow.
So that's Chioma.
Wow.
And this is her just 4 days ago. Yes,
wow.
4 days ago.
Wow.
And when I saw this picture of her, honestly, I wasn't crying from pain. I was crying with hope. Seeing her positivity, seeing her spirit, it does a lot for me as a person, knowing that, I have a friend who helped us out, and she saw Chioma 4 days ago. So I know she told me, sent me a message, and she said, Ada, Chioma will beat this thing. She said her spirit is too lively to leave. And that was such an encouragement for me. So like I said, we're from a family of 6, and Chioma is the last. And like I said, my only sister, and very strong personality. If you know Chioma, those who know her knows. People like Mary Jane have known her for a long time. Chris, if you know Chioma, I know she's an independent spirit. Nothing works her beneath. She's a force. And even with this news, yes, of course, as a human, it's got to her. For the first time, or maybe for the second time in my life, I saw Chioma cry.
Wow.
She's just someone who has it all together. Like, I'm the crybaby of the house, someone who cries easily. But she's always having this strength. So to see her break and then to be the one who's standing for her is like a different call for me. It's not usual. It's not typical in our family. It's not typical of her to be the one who you have to look after. No, she's the one who's always strong. So that's it.
Thanks for sharing that. I mean, I just want to know what her personality is like. And I can imagine that being such a close-in family, the diagnosis itself was like a huge shocker. But I'm curious, given that cancers like, such as breast cancers, they have a familial components, meaning that usually one of the risk factors for having breast cancer is if you've had like a positive family history, say, one's mom or my grandmother or someone around that matriarchal line has had it. So I'm curious to know, were there any previous history of cancer in your family?
Funny, none we knew up until now. It was just an aunt of ours, but you would not consider that close-knit family. She's an aunt, but yeah, my mom never, I asked about her mom, none.
Yeah.
My father's mom, nothing. So you could imagine the shock, that where did this come from? So that's what it is. No family history that I know of, except that aunt of ours who's like a cousin, I'll put it that way. And she's the only one we know so far in the family.
Has it? And I mean, there could be 3 reasons for this. One could be maybe in your case, it wasn't like familially linked. But, for a lot of cancers, the BRCA gene has been linked to, developing it. And sometimes it might stay dormant for years and not get activated to cancers. But with, globalization and Western lifestyle adoption and so many things that we're exposed to externally, that could have led to a cascade of events, like, to make that pronounced. And number 2 would be history keeping. Sometimes Nigerians, as I think Africa as a whole, we tend to be guilty. We've lost a lot of our history. So it's possible that maybe a grandmother somewhere down the line, like maybe 5 generations ago, probably had something like that and they didn't know what it was. And it could also be because maybe someone actually died from it but never told anybody about it.
Right.
All told is just, I wanted to bring out a message on, family history, is that if there's even a remote chance of anyone in your family having cancer, I think there's some things we can start doing as a person to at least maximize the chances of not dying from it. So like early detection, early screening. And now that, Chioma's diagnosis has come to light, I can imagine that when she, eventually gets married and start having kids, this is one of the messages she'll be drumming into, her kids, even the men, because there's also been the link of if moms that have had breast cancer their sons are also at risk of prostate cancer. So there's been that link of breast and prostate cancer. So I think the whole story here is that know your family history as best as you can, and also position yourself to be at that vantage position in such a way that you can at least know your numbers and you're watching things closely. So have a primary care doctor or a physician you see yearly, so you can have your record and they can, like there's always they have to have something to compare to when you go to the hospital, take all your blood, not all your blood, sorry, draw your blood vitals and let them have that statistics on file. So next time you go, they can look at what's, off and, start intervening on them. Because with most cancers, the earlier they find it and they detect it, the better the chances of surviving it. So I'm curious to also know, like, what was the diagnosis like? What symptoms did it come with? And was she someone that, fell ill, or she was usually like the healthiest child and then all of a sudden started having symptoms? I'm just curious to know how it started.
Okay, this started sometime in March this year, late March or early April, when she called and said she found a lump in her breast. And then we don't live in the same state at the moment. So I said, okay, have you been to the hospital? She has said yes. Okay, she's been scheduled for surgery. Okay, what was the report? What was your test like? Oh, it's a fibroadenoma. And I just contacted a doctor friend of mine and said, what do you do with a fibroadenoma? And he was like, oh, it's just a normal lumpectomy. It's found in young girls, no big deal. So on the 16th of April, she went in for the surgery, sent me a picture of herself, that, oh, done. But I think it started after a month when she realized it wasn't healing and the breast was thickening. So she said she went back to the hospital and they said, oh, it's just the blood clot. The blood clot is going to melt away with time. Now, being medically ignorant like most of us, we're like, okay, maybe that's it. All right, give it some time. Second month, same thing, she went back. And the thing about it that I'm bringing about today, beyond the fundraising, is the ignorance of many medical practitioners back home in Nigeria, and the fact that we need to seek second opinion as fast as possible. So going back to the same doctor, he kept saying the same thing. It was in the third month that a friend of hers said, why not seek someone else's opinion about this? Now, at that time, the breast had thickened, dark, changed form, but she was well. She's always had a good history of health. We don't have sickly children. I mean, we've never been sickly children around. So maybe nobody raised an alarm about it because no big deal. Only for her to go to a specialist somewhere in the teaching hospital in Port Harcourt where she currently lives. And at the first glance of it, the guy said, this looks like cancer to me. And, she said, no, they told me it was fibroadenoma. And then they took it like a tissue, to test it. But the doctor was like, I'm almost sure this is cancer. So, and if this is cancer, we have to cut your breast off. He told her point blank. And so when Chioma called me and funny, that day, I had just lost a tooth because I had to remove a tooth, my premolar, and I was still healing from that when she called. So I was showing her laughing. I said, hey, Chisi, I have two gap tooth now, one in front and one by the side, just making fun. And then she said, oh, at least you lost a tooth. That's no big deal. I'm going to lose a breast.
Oh no, she said it like that.
Yeah. So I said,
no.
what does that mean? I thought, what does that mean? Then she just broke and started crying. At that point, I did a video call and I said,
I can imagine.
so I said, what are you talking about?
No.
And then she narrated, I've been telling you about this breast thing. At that point, all my coordination just went out the window. I started thinking, what do I do? How do I fly? Who do I call? And immediately I called my brother, a friend who actually is not a brother, more like everyone knows, Chris Chime.
Yeah.
And he said, don't panic. Let me talk to a friend of mine who's a doctor. He's a consultant, Dr. Queening in the UK, but he's in Nigeria currently. Let's speak with him. And I happened to know Dr. Queening, so I also put a call through to him. He said, send in her reports, which I did. And he was totally upset. He said there was no need for the surgery.
Yeah, it just
This is
makes it
just carelessness. He was just talking about it, and he said, bring her down to Lagos immediately. So we paid for her flight to come down to Lagos. He saw the doctor, and the doctor was like, I don't know yet. I don't speak from my assumptions. I speak with reports. So he looked at her breast, examined it, and put out the MRI, ultrasound, biopsy. Now, he said to me, these are the things that should have been done in the first place.
Before going
Surgery is always the last resort. You don't cut until you know.
Yeah.
You always do all these things before you cut. But apparently, these guys jumped the guns and cut first. So with that, when the MRI came out, there was nothing seen. Now, at this point, I had called my mother. Now, if you know my family well, my mom is one of the strongest persons you will ever meet. I will always tell her, nothing breaks you. I don't know why, nothing. So when I told her, she just said, well, no, not my child. Oh, she won't know how we are. She won't lose anything. Oh. So when Chioma came to Lagos, she went to see her, stayed with her. When the MRI results came out, there was nothing. So she had to go for the ultrasound biopsy. It was at that point that the tissue that they did in Port Harcourt, the tissue test they did in Port Harcourt came out, and it was confirmed cancer. So we waited for the ultrasound biopsy. When it came out a week later, it was also confirmed cancer.
Yeah.
Now, what staging, we didn't know about all those things. Yeah. So test upon test. And I'm someone who likes to, before I make a decision, I want to be sure. I have to get to the end. I just said, see, I'm not taking this report just yet. What other scans can we do? What other tests can we do? And we did everything that you can think of was done, and it was still the same. Yeah. It's cancer. And at that point, when we discovered the staging, that was where I broke. Stage 3, HER2 positive, estrogen positive, stage 3. The guilt of what could I have done earlier began to throw me. And what could I have prevented? What could I have done, And then the conflicts into the family. I saw my mom within a week of seeing my mother when the news was broken to her. And after a week, I could almost say, without exaggerating, my mother added 5 to 10 years to her age on her face. She suddenly became gray. Her hair just turned gray overnight. Now seeing that, I was trying to be strong for the family, and then my dad is the quiet one. And when you talk to him, he almost can't speak. He'll just tell you, it is well. Now, the fear began to also come that he's not talking. And I know both of them are high blood pressure patients, they're diabetic. How are they taking this? So it began to take a toll on me in August. Now, this diagnosis came out very well in August into September. We knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And then the race, like the doctor told me something, he said, we're racing against time. Oh dear. Hearing that, going to work was a problem. I couldn't concentrate. Now I was imagining me acting this way. How was Chioma taking it? And when you speak with her, she sounds calm, and the doctors. So with all these tests, thank God for Dr. Queening, who Chris introduced to us. Dr. Queening used his relationship and introduced the doctor in the UK, Dr. Dakbo, who's a breast surgeon too. And he was interested in the case, introduced her to his oncologist, who's also in the UK, Dr. Saka, and they began to look at the test and said, okay, we're going to work with her even from here. Yeah. So we're going to engage with our friends in Nigeria who know breast practices and tell them what to do so that there's no second error. Okay. And that's how we got to this place.
I think from what you said, let's try to draw some lessons learned. Good job on your sister for being proactive to at least, she probably was checking herself to see, this feels lumpy. So I give her credit on that. And I think you've also spoken to that fact. And I know from our one-on-one conversations, one of the things you said that you guys regretted was not seeking a second opinion before she was cut into. Now, for those that might
Yeah.
not really know, the difference between fibroadenoma and unlike a breast cancer is that fibroadenoma is benign. That means it's non-cancerous. It's it doesn't spread to other organs. It doesn't grow larger over time, and they're pretty small, about 1 to 2 centimeters in size. And like Adobe rightly said, they should have done a lot of scan and at least maybe just looked at what it felt like before cutting into it. Because cutting into it was probably what made it very problematic because it couldn't stop
Yeah.
healing. And now they're like going, over time. I imagine that was a surgeon because usually surgeons like to cut. And also some of the early warning signs of breast cancer, for those who might be listening, is if something feels weird over time, like is your breast increasing in size or shape? Is it are there changes in one or two of the nipples? Are you having nipple discharge other than breast milk? And do you have general pain? And it's not, sometimes when we have our periods as ladies, you might have that pain, but this is not like period pain. Do you feel any lumps or nodes? So if any of those things are applicable to you or somebody please let them seek first, second, and third and fourth opinion. And I think what happened to your sister is not any different from what, mostly tenable in Nigeria, in that we still have that paternalistic model of healthcare where we defer to our doctors. We see our doctors as gods, like, they have the best interest. And they do have. But I think like coming to the US for me really opened my eyes a lot to be able to advocate for myself and, know that healthcare for me, I have to make sure I'm asking all doctors. I mean, as many people as I want to like get second, get third opinion before cutting into me and, taking stuff out.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the lessons learned is, don't just, because then it could have been worse, really. It really could have been worse. And another thing I think we can talk about is also the stage. Now, stage three is so usually when you have cancer or breast cancer, let's start with breast cancer as an example, is that they usually grade them in the past was stage and grade. They still use that, but for breast cancer, they've added like hormones like estrogen and progesterone, and then a protein called the human epidermal growth factor receptor 2, HER2. Now, for in staging, they're actually really looking at, how it's spread, So stage one is the smaller, they haven't spread to lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are those things that kind of drain stuff out. You find them in your armpit or, usually they can sometimes swell up when you have like inflammation, like when you do that, but usually they should go back, to their normal size. Stage two, usually the cancer is larger and it spread to a few lymph nodes. Stage three, it's a lot larger and it's actually growing into nearby tissues. And stage four is like the most advanced. They call that, when it's metastasized, like it's spread across, more than, a few tissues. And so they look at the staging. Now, the grading is a little bit different in that they have to take a little bit of it and see how the cells are performing under the microscope, like the shape, the abnormality. That's what they do for staging and grading. Now, for breast cancer, they look at those other three factors that I talked about: the estrogen, the progesterone, and the hormone Herceptin. Oh, sorry, I said Herceptin, HER2. Now, if it's estrogen positive, and because cancers they thrive in estrogen, just think of it like chocolate or something that makes them excited, right? And so they use like anti-estrogens to like treat it if it's estrogen positive, meaning that this is sensitive to estrogen. Kind of like how if you do like a urine test and they do the culture and they see the sensitivity and they tell you antibiotics that can like clear it up. So if it's estrogen positive, they do all of that. Now if it's progesterone, they don't really use like anti-progesterone. I think they use like aromatic inhibitors to like treat them. And then finally, the HER2 hormone that I talked about, think of it like a tap that kind of that was turned on in the breast cells. And because it's turned on, it's overstimulated. And so what they do is they give medications that can turn off the tap so that way the cells are like not growing as much. And the medications that they use for that is the brand name is Herceptin, which I think, Chioma is on, and that's trastuzumab. So it's good news in a way because it's it's HER2 positive, right? And so they can use treatments for that. And where it might become problematic is what they call triple negative. That means it's not positive for estrogen, it's not positive for progesterone, and it's not positive for the HER2. So I think there's the hope, not just because of the diagnosis. I'm sure your hope is way bigger than that. Like it's based on your faith and so many things. But I think the prognosis might look a little bit good. So I just wanted to draw those 2 points on lessons learned and also what the treatment is like. So let's talk about just the treatment and what she's had to do. What has it been like, and how are you guys managing it? Because I know those drugs are not very cheap to come by in Nigeria.
No, they are not. When it comes to management, before I say that, everybody listening to me, Facebook, on Zoom, I just want you to, in your time, say a prayer for Tolani. Tolani has been an angel in human person. You know, I'm going to say this, Tolani. Maybe you don't remember. I know we met 10 years ago. And after our Koindu experience, we went somewhere to Badagry
For the beach
for
park?
mission work. And,
Right.
you know, we were served food. I'm sorry I'm going to say this because it meant a whole lot to me. We were served food that when we were done eating, everybody was just eating. Tolani and I were just cordial. There was, we didn't know each other before we came to the missionary journey, work rather. So we finished eating, and I don't usually eat bones. Tolani said, Ada, are you done? I said, yes. She took the bone from my plate and began to chew it.
I love bones.
What?
20 for bones. Guilty.
I was taken aback. I mean, who does that? But that sense, the love I have for Tolani is, I turned to her and I said something to her. I said, you can never offend me in this world. Even if you do, you have an advance forgiveness. And for me, that was it. And since then, Tolani, don't chew other people's.
We can't do that anymore because of COVID, but I miss those good old days.
Goodness me, that was, for me, that was love, that was acceptance, that was deep. And that was it. So on this journey, when we began, I just didn't remember Tolani was. We've not been talking for a while. We haven't spoken for a while.
Yeah.
It was one day just while praying, and I was just this way praying, like, God help me, like, and it just occurred to me that I had read something, on Facebook, Tolani wrote about cancer, and I was like, oh, so I reached out to her and I said, do you still write things? She was like, yeah, I still do research on cancer and stuff like that. And I said, oh, there's an issue. So she was open, and Tolani walked me through this journey. Okay, it's fine. Send me her report. I have somebody I can talk to. And she began to contact people. Guys, these drugs really are not anywhere near cheap. And the herceptin she spoke about was going to cost us at least, not even, it was going to be more, but at least $1,000 for one. And Chioma would need 18 of it. That means we're going to spend about $18,000 just for herceptin. Now there are other drugs. When Tolani called on another lady, she's not here, I don't know, maybe she's
right now.
busy.
We're going to talk about her.
Tolu Lokme.
Yeah,
Jesus, I met Tolu 2 months ago, and Tolu and I, it seemed like we've known each other for years. Tolu was like, herceptin, don't worry about it. Just send me her report, send me this, fill in that. And within 2 days, she came back to me and said, don't worry, we have a subsidized rate for 240,000 naira for one. Now, 240,000 naira, of course, is not cheap, but if you saw me that day, you would think I won a jackpot. From 530,000 to 240,000. That was amazing for me. I was like, Tolu, thank you. She said, no problem, anytime. Give me Chioma's number. Let me call her and speak with her, encourage her. And then last week, another drug was introduced, Doxycycline, and it was supposed to cost 234,000. I called on Tolu once again, and she said, for what? Please. And in another 20 minutes, she called me back and said, it's 94,500. I'll give it to you guys. Oh my God. When I sit back, I just know that for this year, the gift of humans, greater than anything else you can have. Friendship is like the greatest of all worldly goods. Anybody you have in your life who is just a friend, hold them tight. You can't explain my absolute respect for people, for life, and everything I think you take for granted. So back to what I was saying. Tolani, thank you so much. Thank you. I can't. This journey, you've been like the flag bearer. I'll say it that way. So Yes, the drugs are not cheap. Just the test alone, just the test, MRI, ultrasound, cost over almost 600,000 just for the test, because I wanted to be sure. And then you go in for Zoladex, which she had to be, okay, let me explain it this way. Chioma is 31. She's not married. She hasn't had any child yet. So the doctor said we have to protect her ovaries. Chemotherapy has a way of messing up the ovaries. Let's protect her ovaries. And she needed a drug called Zoladex to protect that.
Yeah.
About 5 of it. And we had someone, another pharmacist who is a friend, who got it for me for a good rate, about 60,000 for one. So we bought 5, which is about 300,000 just for that. And then we went into chemotherapy. And the oncologist was like, no, we're not going to give her the 5-fluorouracil. She doesn't need that. She's not qualified for that. So she was given a pyridoxine, cyclophosphamide. So it's the EC drug she's on as a neoadjuvant before the surgery she's going to go into.
Yeah. I like how you brushed up on your terminology.
Oh my goodness.
Totally. The first time we talked.
I started reading.
You can totally write a book on breast cancer. I can see that knowledge level brushing up. That is my heart.
I never believe I could know all these names. Like, I always tell you before, I was like, I can't catch up. Now I'm catching up.
Oh, not tomato.
Because I have to ask, what's her prescription? What are you putting into her? What's the red devil called? What is this one? What is that one? So she's on those drugs, and her chemotherapy, because of Toulouse inputs, we were able to reduce the amount of her chemotherapy by about 100,000, because she was able to get some other drugs that they could use.
Yeah.
And then the first 3 cycles are the same. The next 3 cycles will be different, which is where the Herceptin and the Zeta-cel will come in. Yeah. Now, it was supposed to be Chris.
Yes.
Okay, so it was supposed to be about 600,000 for 1 cycle of her chemotherapy. But with Toulouse input, we're able to beat that down to about maybe 300 and something thousand for her chemotherapy.
Yeah, well, and that's usually about, like, I want to say, I'm not very good with Naira anymore. How many would it be dollars?
That's about $1,500.
Yeah, they're about,
they're about $1,500.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is per cycle, and remember she has about 6 cycles to go. Yeah. Yeah. So all those inputs, all the drugs, and not just that, because we couldn't find a good hospital they could trust in Port Harcourt. So Chioma flies every 3 weeks to Abuja for her chemotherapy, and that's another cost, flying her and then being in a hotel, for the amount of time.
Yeah.
But Chioma, like I said, is an outlier. When she's done with her chemotherapy, the doctor was like, just take a rest that day, go tomorrow. She said, for what? And then she gets to the next plane and she's back home. And when she was on the flight, she does a video for me. I'm like, sis, I'm on my way home. She just does a Snapchat video. That's so encouraging. That's so, like, I will tell her, just be spending my money, but just get well,
Yeah. I mean,
so that's it.
I'm really glad that, well, first of all, I was kind of taken aback by your list, but I really, this is nothing. And I didn't do much. I just always believe that, whenever you have resources, pass it along. So I want to really give credit to who the credit is really due to. And so let me speak about this wonderful person. Well, her name is Tolu. I met her at the NCI, which is the branch of the NIH, one of the top funders of research in the world. And she has a program called, actually her NGO called Cancer Aware. And Tolu is someone that she's very passionate about cancer, especially in Nigeria, especially for those that are very indigent. Because as we know, our healthcare infrastructure is quite weak. We run what we call the out-of-pocket model. The government is not putting a lot into healthcare financing, so people have to pay out of pocket. And so it comes down to buying power. So basic preventative services like cancer screening, mammographies. In Nigeria, how many mammograms do they have? I don't think it's up to, a dozen in the whole of the country. And I'll let Tolu speak to that. But a little bit about what she does. So Cancer Aware is a cancer-based charity. And what they do is really to reduce the rising cancer incidence in Nigeria, especially among women, through education, advocacy, and patient support. They focus primarily on breast and gynecologic cancers because they account for high cancer fatalities in Nigeria. And I think the scariest thing so far is we're seeing people that are in their 30s coming up with aggressive form of cancers, which, you know, is quite disturbing. As I talk about this, I'm having goose pimples. So Tolu is someone that is very passionate about that. So I say all of this to say, when you, God forbid, you come down with a cancer diagnosis or somebody you know, please do not do it alone. Cancer is a disease that eats at everything you have. You want to build your arsenal of people that you can trust. So without further ado, this is the person you all need to thank. It's Tolu. She's the one behind all of the whole, reducing the cost, and beyond just the cost, I think this is support. She's very good at what she does. So Tolu, she can't really turn on her camera because she's on the road, but she can, talk to us. Tolu, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mo. Hello, Ada. Nice to connect. I'm sorry, I'm on my way from an event, so but I'm happy to speak. I'm so happy that things are progressing well with Chioma's treatment. I'm very positive about the outcomes, and I know God is in control and everything will work out, and this will end in praise. All the kind words you're saying, I'm just doing my work. Cancer Aware is a women's cancer charity, like Mo said, in Lagos. Our work focuses on breast and gynae cancers because these cancers are the most common cancers in Nigeria. Breast cancer is number one, followed closely by cervical cancer. If I start to talk about the challenges we experience in this space, we will not leave here today, but I will just say that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in not just in the cancer space in Nigeria, but also generally among non-communicable diseases. There is a rising incidence, cancer, diabetes, hypertension, and there's not much being done in terms of access to medication, in terms of treatment centers, in terms of prevention and early detection. Would you believe that up to 70% of cases of breast cancer in Nigeria are diagnosed in advanced stage? Over 40% are in stage 4. If 10 women come to the center in a day, 8 will be stage 4 breast cancer. So it's a huge problem. And there are so many reasons for this. Number one, in my own opinion, is lack of knowledge or the right information. So you interview a woman who comes in with a mass in her breast and you say, Madam, when did you notice this? And she says, oh, about a year ago. Okay, so what did you do? She said, well, she thought it would disappear, or she was praying, or or she, so there's a lot of ignorance about what these things could be. Then and it's not just, it cuts across social demographics. So it's not just, or you say low income earners or indigent population, not at all. Even well-educated people. Another big factor that is responsible for this late presentation is ill-trained healthcare workers, ill-trained frontline healthcare workers. Now, I'm not sure about the model in the US, but in places like the UK, your first port of call if you have a medical challenge should be your primary healthcare center, your GP's practice. That's where you're supposed to go to first. In Nigeria, we have primary healthcare centers in every local government. And for most people, this is where they go to first if they have a medical challenge. But the problem we've noticed here is that most of the healthcare workers, they are not well trained. So a woman comes in with a lump into her primary healthcare center, say in Mushi, and she meets a matron or a nurse or something, and they look at her and say, oh, it's nothing, no worry, go and take antibiotics, you'll be fine. And that woman goes and she's confident, oh, I've spoken to a medic. Fast forward to 6 months, she comes back with a forgetting mass, so that is another factor. Religion is another factor, a huge one. Very huge factor in Nigeria. In fact, if not for COVID, we're planning a conference this year that would have a side meeting where we're going to invite representatives from the Christian Association, the Muslim Association, even the Trado practitioners, and we're going to have a round table because a lot of people, it's okay to pray. I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, but I also know you have to listen to your doctor, you have to do the test, you have to take the treatment. A lot of people do not want to take treatment for cancer because they're praying, or they think chemo will kill them, or things like that. You know, we had a lady, one of the women we were supporting a couple of years back, and she was going to get our free chemotherapy drugs. She was supposed to start treatment the next day, and she calls the day before and says, "Oh, sorry, I'm not coming for the treatment." When we asked why, she said, well, that she's going to pray, she's going to church. I heard, unfortunately, that she passed away a few months ago. You know, so that is a huge factor. So cultural beliefs, religious beliefs is another factor for why people present late or do not, or fall off the treatment wagon in Nigeria. Of course, access to treatment, access to medication. Ada has hit the nail on the head, talking about how expensive drugs can be in Nigeria. I mean, cancer treatment is expensive the world over.
Yeah.
But remember, we are the poverty capital of the world. You know, a lot of people cannot afford to pay for these drugs. Just a few days ago, a young boy lost his mom to cancer, and they could not afford 20,000 naira for consultation at the cancer center in Lagos. 20,000 naira, by the way, is $4. So if they can't afford $4 for consultation, how will they afford chemo? How will they afford surgery? So they took the woman and took her to a traditional healing home, and she died. So these are the things we're facing, the challenges. That being said, despite all the challenges, there's some rays of hope. In the last 6 years since we've been in this space, there's been a shift in awareness. It's not as bad as it used to be. People are coming out and being preventive about their health. They're doing mammograms, they're doing ultrasounds, you know, they're taking wellness checks. We're not there yet, but at least it's a step in the right direction, and it's progress. You know, we need the help of the government. We can't do this alone. If you look at all the places where they've gotten a hang on their healthcare system, there is a huge government input. Why can't we have a national mammogram program in Nigeria, whereby when a woman becomes eligible for a mammogram, usually at the age of 40, you know, she gets a prompt, come to your local primary healthcare center and get a mammogram done. Why can't we have a national cervical screening program when women are due for their pap smears? They can come in and do all this. Right now, only private places can do it, and they're expensive and out of the reach of many people. So that is our work at Cancer, where we focus on the three parts of this continuum: prevention, treatment, and then support for
Shush.
we have that. So thank you guys for having me. We're working closely with Ada and Chioma, you know, through her treatment journey. We're here to support her all the way. If you have a minute, please check our website to see some of the work we're doing. Yes. And thank you so much.
Can you tell us your website again, canceraware.org, and then also your Instagram page as well?
Okay, so website is canceraware.org.ng, and on Instagram we're canceraware_, and on Twitter we're canceraware_ng.
Yes, and her program, her platform is certified by the UICC, which is the Union for International Cancer Control, which is a very big deal. It's like that gold seal of approval to, like, you know, get stuff done. So Tolu, thank you so much. I really appreciate you chiming in, and have a safe trip back home.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Tolu. Thank you.
All right, well, we're kind of really winding down now, and just to add a little bit to what Tolu said, is given that as Nigerians, there's only so much an individual can do, you know. At the national policy, governmental level, a lot of things are really weak. And we've seen that with urbanization and all of that, there's been exposure to a lot of environmental toxins in Nigeria. Now studies are coming out to show that for example, the rise in demand for cement has led to an unprecedented exposure of different people in Nigeria, including workers, people living and working within these host communities, students going to, you know, kindergarten, primary school, colleges, within the population zones, to heavy metals and, you know, cancer-causing metals as well. So how do we protect ourselves as individuals, given that the government isn't like doing a lot on the policy level? Like, for example, here in the US, you can't just set up a factory anywhere. You have to like go with the permits. You're bound to a lot of the, you know, environmental safety controls. You can't just do that. Well, Nigeria, the laws seems to be a little bit lax. And I think it comes down to primary prevention. Like, even if it's just to save up money to go see a doctor every year, do that very listing for yourself. Because when it comes to it, cancer the symptoms are not very, you know, overt. They don't show like, my leg is about cutting off. No, they're silent and often insidious. So how do you take care of yourself? Please, make sure you find a doctor, someone that is maybe by your, maybe like even like a primary healthcare center, like what do you guys call them? Local government clinics, right? See one regularly as often as you can, and know your history and tell your history. Don't cover it up in, let's not say it if you pronounce it as negative. No, know your history. And I think that also that point of, faith. I'm Christian as well, but I lost a friend like 2 years ago from lung cancer, because, after a while she stopped taking medications. She went to try, some other means, and of course she lost her life. I think you can definitely combine religion, but religion shouldn't be, work with your faith, but don't walk foolishly and blindly. I'm not gonna say a lot of stuff about faith. Like, your faith is personalized to you, but seek counsel and make sure it's safe. So I'm just curious to know right now. You guys have started raising money. How's the funding doing? And Adobe, how can we really support you? I know you've mentioned one thing is to pray for your sister, and prayer is free, right? But let's talk about money. Like, how can we help and how can we donate? Because really, that's where we can put the prayer, the action. They can go hand in
Right.
hand. They're not mutually exclusive, right?
Okay. The funding has been from myself and my older brother. Both of us have been funding her treatment, and so far it's been good. Like I said, if I could avoid this thing, I would have avoided it because I just didn't want the publicity. But Tolani, I would say you were insistent, you were consistent. I had to tell her, thank you for your patience 2 days ago. Like, she just kept, saying the same thing. Like, and I will have to do this because I just didn't want to be in anybody's pockets. Okay, we can handle it and stuff. But the truth is that nobody saves for cancer. Nobody. As you think it's over with 5 million, another thing is coming up, another expense is coming, another drug is coming up, and it gives you a whole new meaning to life and everything you take for granted. That is just what cancer, having this cancer news has done to me. It has made me not take things for granted anymore, not take people. Just last week, I realized a friend of mine who lives in the US too, she called me on Sunday to say that she was also diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's done her, no, don't worry about it, it's fine. Yes, thank you. She's done her mastectomy already, she's done her chemotherapy. It was stage 1 though, but I'm not sure why hers is coming down so strong, on her. And I realized that this thing is ravaging. Cancer seems to be ravaging, and she's in her 30s too, or married. So you're wondering, like, really? So I sat back and I said to myself, it's amazing how we take so many things for granted, but be that as it may, as we have gone through this so far, just give me a second, please, just 1 minute, 1 sec. Okay, so you respect life, you respect people who are going through this and who are pushing, with their faith and with their, sorry, my people just came back and everyone's already. Just a second, please, just 1 minute.
And if you guys have any questions about this, please, use the chat function because we're going to round up soon.
Okay, so it gives a whole new meaning to life. So the expenses have been strong. Naki, it's been strong, but thank God, like, people who have been subsidizing, so the costs have been a little bit less, not as much as I would have thought, but of course it's in millions. Just the Herceptin drugs alone was about 4.3 million, just the Herceptin drugs alone. So talk about the other drugs and the other drugs and the other drugs and the other drugs and the other drugs, and you never, like I said, nobody saves for cancer. You can't save up for it. So I'm grateful to finally, because Chris, God bless Chris, he's always like one guy who knows how to bring down my neck. He said, Ada, learn to receive help. People want to help you, learn to, you're not in anybody's pocket, learn to receive help. Like, okay. So far, so good. We've been taking care. And like you saw Chioma's picture, see, people, when you are praying for her, when you think about Chioma, think about hope, think about life, think about joy. She's going to be here for a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah.
And I always said she's going to raise her children, she's going to have a family, and we all are going, I mean, we're going to come back. She's going to come back with her story. So I'm sure she's going to come back to Sibyl's podcast. And her chemotherapy is ending, because I want us to round up quickly.
Yeah.
Her chemotherapy is ending second week in January. Her mastectomy should be in second week in February. That's the surgery to take out her breast. And then after that, the radiotherapy and all that happens. And so it's still a journey ahead of us.
Yeah.
But I know that with everybody's support, prayers, calls, thank you, Amy K, for always doing a Zoom meeting to pray. She will say, let's pray by 5 p.m. tomorrow. She'll do a Zoom meeting and she'll spend time praying. So Tolu, first of all, last of all, rather, Tolu said religion is a big factor. Trust me, it is. Some people called me and was like, this is an evil spirit. This is that. Just keep praying. I'm a very tolerant person. It's fine. I hear you. But as I'm hearing you, I'm also talking to my doctor and I'm also asking him, what's the next thing we're supposed to do? What's the next thing we're supposed to take? So that's it.
Well, before we go, just to say this, if you had this question, I think is a perfect way to kind of segue out of this our conversation. So she wants to know what kind of lifestyle to adopt to prevent cancer, whether you have family history or not. So for cancers like breast and prostate cancer, they're cancers that have familial links, like I said earlier on. So what are the three greatest risk factors for developing breast and prostate cancer? For breast cancer, number one is female gender. So if you're born female, that's like number one risk. And you can't even change that. I mean, you could become transsexual, but you can't alter your genes. The second one is your increasing age. The older you get, the more you're predisposed to that. And then family history. The other things that they have shown is like, people that have like early menarche, like people that had their period like very early, like 8 or 9. Now, as far as like lifestyles to adopt, really, if you're predisposed to it, like gene wise, you can't beat your genes. Like you can still try to, adopt some healthy factors to reduce the severity of it. So exercise is one that is seen that really helps. Also diet, like good diets, like a lot of diet rich in grains, using a lot of multivitamins that can, like minerals that can help to absorb like, free radicals, like antioxidants. Also, I think just maintaining a positive attitude, because I had read a study once, and I don't know if it's confirmed scientifically, as far as most studies to like confirm the hypothesis they had, is a lot of people that end up, not a lot, the people that they had in their study, they showed that people that held onto unforgiveness and they had somebody that they were holding on to, that kind of made it, like I said, this is still not, it's not like rocket, it's not like hard science, so I can't speak more into that. But overall, I think a positive attitude doesn't hurt for anybody to have, and letting go of, people that you're holding on to. So I just want to say, like, as best as you can. I know being in Nigeria, where rice is like the main staple, and we're not really into vegetables and all that, as best as you can feed those in, or supplementing your diet, and going for those checkups. Really, really, nothing beats early detection. Cancer is something that I feel like, because of the way we're growing older, and as a whole, because of advancements in technology and healthcare, we're living longer. So what does that mean? Even I bear my sister even had prostate cancer. With cancer is not going to go away anytime soon. But the good news is that if they are detected early on, no, for real, it's a running joke among cancer researchers. Like, well, sure, Mrs. had prostate cancer. Is early detection. Please know your numbers, know your values. And so I want to challenge you, Adaobi, giving that familiar link. I help you to your, checking up on yourself, doing your breast examinations, and seeing your doctors once a year.
In fact, after the diagnosis with Chioma, this is something I don't, they say check your breast for lumps and stuff like that. I've never really been that proactive, but after that, started checking. Of course, I went to the hospital here, and of course, the age mammogram, 40 years, just wait, and stuff like that. So I have to wait till I'm 40. Of course, I'm almost there. So, as much as hold a good confession, hold a good lifestyle, I exercise a lot. I try to have a good diet, try to do all that. But hearing this from a close family, it just makes you more proactive. Yeah. And right now I talk to my friends, check your breast, do this, do that. I mean, a friend of mine called her, she saw a lump in her breast, and then she was going in for surgery. if you see the way I activated, like one hot, I said, go in it for which foolish surgery, you know? I said, no. Just, how, because I'm informed now, don't do that, do this first. And by the time I told her Chioma's story, she just calmed down, cried, and said, I'm not doing it again. I said, please don't do it again. These Nigerian doctors, most of them are just not well, informed about this thing. Someone just sent a question to me directly. I said, I did talk about the funding. Okay, I'm going to send a link. There's a GoFundMe account where you can support Chioma, I know someone else said, okay, what about those in Nigeria? Well, if you're in Nigeria and you don't want to, the GoFundMe is in dollars, of course. Maybe you have to reach out to me personally, I guess.
And maybe give them like an account number they can donate.
An account number, yes. So if you need that, just send me a message. I'm going to give you an account number that you can send to. Because the GoFundMe, oh, thanks, Tolani. That's a GoFundMe account that people have been. I haven't made this public yet. Yes, but right now Tolani has pushed the goalposts. She has shifted it, so it's going to go public right now. And people, thank you, Oge. She's not here, she couldn't join us. Oge was one of the first people who gave me support for this. And thank you again, Tolani, for Taiwo Adedikpe. If you go to the GoFundMe, you're going to see his name. It's boldly written there. It's not anonymous. Taiwo funded the account so strongly. So thank you, everybody. And for some of you who have given, they don't want to go to the GoFundMe, they just want to do it directly. You know yourselves. And the person who said I rated her help, I have no words for you.
Oh yeah, Adaobi, I just got a good suggestion. Maybe give Chioma's account number.
Yes, that's what it's going to be.
Yes.
It's Chioma's account number is going to be.
Can open a separate account, she doesn't have one. Yeah, Tolu just gave me that suggestion. I think it's a good one.
Yes, sure. I spoke to Chioma yesterday, so I told her we're going to be funding your accounts, your Naira accounts.
Yeah.
So that goes to you. So we already have that understanding.
Yeah.
That it's going to come to her.
Yeah.
So she has 2 accounts. I told her just make one for this particular cause so that you know exactly what's coming to you and who, help, so that we can always say thank you.
Yeah. Oh, another thing is that I forgot about this other risk factor is alcohol. Drinking alcohol has been linked to an increased risk of breast cancer. And they do say that, not having children, if you haven't used your baby box after age 30, you will have a slightly higher risk. But then on the other hand, if you've had many pregnancies and you've been pregnant at an early age, that can reduce your breast cancer risk. So it's not if you just go out there and start getting pregnant and all that, but this has some risk factors. It might not be applicable to you, but it's just good to know. I still always go back to, just make sure you know your numbers. See your doctor every year. That's like the best thing you can do, especially if you're in Nigeria. Primary healthcare. Hold on to that because you don't want to see the specialist. It might often be too late for you. All right. Well, those were all the things I wanted to, talk about. I do really, really appreciate you for coming on the show today. I'm very thankful for Chioma's life, and I hope that as time goes on, policy levels will move, like our national cancer plan, the healthcare budgets. They won't spend much more time on politicians like lining their pockets. That we can really have like mammography centers like Tolu was saying earlier on. I really have a lot of hope for Nigeria, and I think that Chioma's story, given how young she is and how she's gonna beat this, I hope that I can set a lot of stuff into action. But I thank you. You guys are in our prayers, and I really look forward to engaging Chioma on this platform when all is said and done. I just want to say thank you to the Nduka family for availing yourself through your daughter Adaobi to be on the show today. I know it means a lot for you to come out here and talk about your sister and all that kind of stuff. I'm proud of you. See, it wasn't as bad, right?
It wasn't as bad as much as I wanted to avoid it. But thank you. And thanks, Tolani. Thank you again. Thank you, Tolu. Thank you, everybody who is here. Thank you for those who call me personally to ask about Chioma. Thank you so much. Everyone, I really, really do appreciate you guys. Girardi reached out to me yesterday. Thank you. Thank you, MJ. Oh, I have to thank MJ. Otherwise I'm going to be in trouble.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
So thank you, MJ, for... Don't worry, your help is very much going to be accepted. You know that.
And
so
guys,
thank you, everybody. And please reach out to you whenever anybody has, this has made me very understanding. I thought I was, but very understanding of people who have cancer. When you hear anybody has cancer, reach out to them. Beyond the physical pain they are in, a lot of mental pain, emotional pain. Why me? The question my sister was asking initially was, why me? What did I do wrong to deserve this? So reach out to them. They wake up a lot of pain. Chioma wakes up every day with headaches and stuff, pains here, pain in the joints and all that. Please reach out to them. pray for them, and please, and don't take life for granted and your friendships for granted. Forgive as much as you can, let go as much as you can, love people as much as you can. Life is really not as tight as we hold it. You're here one moment and the next you're not. So I have a friend also who just had a surgery last month. Her ovaries and fallopian tubes were just removed. She's just 35. So, just reach out to people, and as much as you can, go out of your way to love people, and God bless you all. Thank you, Auntie Nike. I see you, Auntie Nike. Thank you.
And finally, Tolu, and Adobe said this, like, nobody saves up for cancer. And for some people, like Tolu mentioned in her story, they can't even afford $4, 20,000 naira to go see a doctor. So if you can donate to causes, Cancer Aware is one cause that I solidly, stand behind. So please, engage with them. They're really helping a lot of indigent people that can't even afford, a tiny drop of Herceptin. $20,000 naira will go a long way to save someone's life. So check out what they do on Instagram, canceraware_, and also on their website, canceraware.org, I think. I'm gonna put it here. But anyways, this has been the show. If you have a story to tell, it might not be
Anna, thank you.
Cancer. Let me know. My Instagram handle is Sibyl, and I also have the Sibyl podcast. You can check out our website, www.mosibyl.com. I like to connect people because I really still believe that we shouldn't do life alone. In any event, you guys stay safe. Don't forget, check your numbers. Let's do faithful December, no more dirty December. Go meet your doctor and do your numbers and follow up every year. Set a reminder on your phone every year.
Just a minute, Tolani. I'm sorry. My brother just joined. That's Michael. That's my immediate elder brother. He was busy.
Hi.
That's one guy you all owe a lot of things. I mean, I know he's a sister, but Michael is so family oriented. Michael is an amazing elder brother. Wow. Michael, I love you. I have to say this publicly. Michael and I have been the ones. That's my elder brother.
Wow.
Thank you, Michael.
Wow. Thank you, sir. God bless you. All of your effort. And I mean, it's always nice. Like, family support goes a long way when it comes to like cancer. As far as the survivors I've spoken to, that's like one of the number one factor. What keeps them going? And so it shows that, I mean, what you see
me smiling like a sheep, just seeing his face.
What you see in Chioma now and how glowing, I think is a reflection of the bond you guys have and just how determined you are. And Tolu's website is canceraware.org.ng, and I put that in the comment section. All right, who's Nick Richie? Anyways, you guys are amazing. Adobe, you have wonderful friends. I mean, the engagement here has been top notch, and all right, guys.
I'm blessed with good people. I am.
Because you are good people. You're good people. That is my website. Let me know if you have a story to tell or how we can support you on the show. Please don't live life alone. Go hug your family members. Send an I love you to your friends, and let them know how much you appreciate them. Girls, stay safe and all of that. God bless you and love you guys.
Thank you, MJ. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chris.
Chris, honor to meet up. Twilight. From Owerri to Calvary. Jesus died for us.
Thank you.
All right, bye. Thank you so much, Tolu, as well. All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Veli.
Mo, be going. Leave us now.
Bye. Okay, I'm just gonna move my camera. Y'all should just do your stuff. I'm gonna